Galaxy Digital energizes $133 at Helios. For CoreWeave's AI buildout, Galaxy Digital said on July 7, 2026, that it has energized 133 megawatts of critical IT load for CoreWeave at Helios, its data center campus in Dickens County, Texas, completing Phase 1 of the site's conversion from a Bitcoin mining operation into artificial intelligence infrastructure. The update was posted by CoinMarketCap citing the milestone, and it marks the point where one of the most watched pivots in crypto mining stops being a plan and starts being live capacity feeding a hyperscaler. From mining rigs to GPU racks, Helios began life as a proof-of-work Bitcoin site. Galaxy, run by Mike Novogratz, spent much of the past 2 years repurposing it under a long-term lease and hosting arrangement with CoreWeave, the GPU cloud provider that supplies compute to AI labs. The 133 MW now online is the first tranche of a build that Galaxy has described as scaling into the high hundreds of megawatts over successive phases. The economics behind the switch are hard to argue with. A megawatt pointed at Bitcoin hashing earns whatever the block reward and fee market allow on any given day, and that number fell after the 2024 halving cut issuance. The same megawatt leased to an AI tenant on a multi-year contract produces contracted dollar-denominated revenue that does not swing with the BTC price. For an operator sitting on power interconnects, land, and substation capacity that took years to permit, converting existing grid access into AI hosting is the higher value use of the asset. The interconnect is the moat. The scarce resource in this story is not chips. It is power that is already approved and physically connected to the grid. Getting a new large load interconnect in the US can take 3 to 5 years of queue time and utility studies. Bitcoin miners spent the last cycle acquiring exactly that kind of energized capacity, often in remote areas with cheap electricity, which now positions them as some of the few parties who can hand an AI company live megawatts on a short timeline. That is why the deal reads as more than a single site update. Galaxy is demonstrating that a crypto-native company can meet a hyperscaler's power specification, deliver redundant electrical and cooling systems, and pass the reliability bar an AI tenant needs. Phase 1 energization is the proof of execution. It converts a leasing thesis into an operating fact that the next phases and the next lenders can be underwritten against. A defining trade for crypto-linked equities. The miner-to-AI trade has become one of the defining narratives for public crypto-linked equities in 2026. Companies that own power more than they own hash rate have re-rated on the expectation of AI hosting revenue, and each concrete delivery either supports or punctures that expectation. A completed 133 MW phase is a data point on the supportive side. For the broader market, the read-through is about where mining capital flows next. If leasing power to AI reliably beats mining Bitcoin on a per-megawatt basis, a portion of the network's future capacity growth gets diverted into compute hosting, rather than hash rate. That has second-order effects on mining difficulty, on how public miners describe themselves to investors, and on the valuations that reward power infrastructure over coin exposure. The trend sits alongside the wider institutional move into digital asset infrastructure that has drawn firms like Vanguard into hiring for digital assets and public companies into aggressive Bitcoin accumulation. Crypto prices were quiet as the news landed. Bitcoin traded around $63,941, up 0.8% on the day, with Ethereum near 1797 and the Fear and Greed Index reading 30 or fear as of July 7, 2026. The Helios milestone is a supply-side infrastructure story, not a price catalyst, and the muted tape reflects that. The numbers to track next: watch 3 things from here. The megawatt figure per phase and the total contracted ceiling tell you how large the CoreWeave relationship becomes. The lease structure, meaning term length, and whether pricing is fixed or indexed, determines how durable the revenue is. And the pace between phases signals whether Galaxy can keep energizing capacity faster than a greenfield developer could, which is the entire premise of using a converted mining site.